everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Fids Talk Sports Network post-game show. I'm your host, Bobby Fids Talk, Neil, Evan Poster, and Juan in the house. The Miami Dolphins, the season has ended after a fight in the wild card against Buffalo, losing 31-34. The Dolphins season 9-8 on the year, the 6th best offense, the 18th best defense, but just wasn't enough to get the job done. Let's go ahead and get our panel here to start us off. Everyone tuning in, Ender, Chris, Steve, thank you all for tuning in. Everybody, whether you're watching Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, thank you. Fids Talk Sports Network, like and subscribe. First, let me welcome back the one and only Juan. Juan, brother, it's been a little while. Goon Squad and above. You're a writer for Fin Fanatic, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's glad to be back. Glad to be on again. It's been a fun season, but glad it couldn't end the way we wanted it.
That's right. It's been a crazy season. It's you mess with the emotions. 8-3, then you go on that 5-game losing streak, win it, get into the playoffs, and then you have this matchup here just to bring you up. A typical year for a Dolphins fan. Neil, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's been 6 years since I saw us in the playoffs. I got my family together. What a roller coaster it was. It was really, had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. And at the end of the day, I think that's all we could ask for with what we were going into this game with. So I'm doing good, man.
Evan.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into the game. We're getting there.
How am I doing?
How you doing?
I feel vindicated. Point final.
How so, sir? And God help us all.
I feel vindicated because back in week 4,
yes,
I made a prediction that the problem with this team started with one person, and today it ended with one person. And I knew no matter how close this game got, we were going to lose because of one man. We weren't going to win because of one man. We were going to win as a team. But we lose football games over the last couple of weeks, especially over this season, mainly because of one man and his ineptitude as a head coach. Simple, and I am going to explain why in a very rational, concise manner. I just finished watching a game, and then we'll continue, where I watched a head coach a football game and lose to a first-year guy who I didn't think was the right coach for that team to begin with, but a head coach who used to call plays. But he's a head coach, and he lets his coaches call the plays. So all I can say is this Miami Dolphins loss, whether it was a great effort. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud to be a Miami Dolphins fan. But this coach is not a head coach, and he never will be a head coach for the team. He's a coach for a rebuilding team, not a team that's ready to win.
Let me ask you this, Evan. Let me ask you this.
I feel vindicated.
I understand, we're talking about the 4th and 1. There's a lot of
no, everything.
Well, hold on. But the fight today that the team put up, you go into this.
The team put up a fight, not the head coach.
Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
My point is, this team falls into the playoffs. Everybody but Miami Dolphin fans have this as a blowout. Dolphins go in there with a 7th-round quarterback, no chance in hell. Plus the receivers dropping footballs in the game. I mean, plenty of times Skyler hit them. But the continued fight of this football team, the comeback in the second quarter, tie the game, goes in there, I think 20-17, and then in the second half, until the final minutes, has a chance to win it. Yes, there were mistakes, but shouldn't McDaniel get credit for his team to be fighting until the very end?
No, I'd give more credit to Josh Boyer than Mike McDaniel because he's not the defensive head coach. He doesn't care about the defense. The defense and the special teams woke up, got this team in, and gave them great field position. It wasn't Mike McDaniel. Go look at the stats. The offense sucked today. The offense was putrid today. Skylar Thompson did what he could. Mike McDaniel is not a head coach. No one will convince me otherwise, and I will go into it throughout the show in I'm going to be rational about it. I'm going to explain why. I will have backup for all of my thoughts. You always say to me that at the beginning of the year, I move the line. Everyone on this network says I like to move the line when I was defending Tua and they're on the winning streak. I have been harsh on McDaniel and an inability to be a head coach since the beginning of this year. Is he a great offensive coordinator? Probably. He's not a head coach for what we expected from this football team during this football season. And what he said during his press conference only reiterated the fact that he's a bonehead head coach because he's relying on other people to tell him what's going on in a football game. Head coaches are supposed to lead their coaches and their team, not rely on someone on a headset to tell you what's going on. Even before the show started, Neil even said he knew it was fourth down. The sticks didn't move. Look up. For 10 seconds, he's too busy looking at his paper. He didn't know what was going on in the game. It's the 8, and I don't want to hear this nonsense. He's a rookie head coach. He's at 18 games in the NFL. You should know with 2.5 minutes left what your next play is going to be and not assume it's a first down. What's the famous line about assuming? So, and I'm not going to use any profanity as the guidelines of the network. So, all I'm going to say, guys, this football team, I'm proud of Zach Sealer. I'm proud of Javon Holland. I'm proud of X. I'm proud of Waddle did everything he could. He had a rough game. I'm proud of Tyreek Hill. I'm proud of the offensive line. But you want to know what? There were 2 aspects of the game. The game, the clock management, the inability to have timeouts near the end of a game again. And it may have not been significant yards, but how many times are we going to have penalties? I swear to God, we were the 4th most penalized team in the NFL. And then today, we took more penalties for basic penalties of offsides. I've never seen this many random penalties that made no sense. Every time we thought 1st and 10, it was 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15. This all falls on discipline of a head coach. Guys, we love our Miami Dolphins. I want our team to win. But at the same time, there's no head coach on this football team. There's no head coach. Go watch what's going on. And I'm going to go through it. I'm not going to do it now because I want everyone else to speak. But I'm going to go through every single playoff team afterwards. I would like to take 2 or 3 minutes and explain you who the head coaches are and where they are in their development, when they were hired, and what their expectations were. And Mike McDaniel is the only head coach who basically had the most talent at the time and had the highest with the team as expectations. And he was the wrong football coach at the wrong time for this football team. It's straight as that. Bobby said at the beginning of the year, Bobby was right. I agreed with him. And in the end, that came to fruition in the most important football game of the year. I don't care if it's win, lose, or draw. Okay. We were in the fight today, and in the end, an experienced football coach would not have made the mistake he made because he was so worried about being the offensive coordinator of this football team, he forgot to be a head coach.
So, as you guys all saw, first off, thank you, everybody. I see California, Josh Wingate of Beer and Sports, 2 cents, Cruising Scott. Thank you all for tuning in. Smash that like and subscribe button. But, as you can see, I said, how y'all doing? Start 1, 2, then 3 hours with Mr. Evan. But that's okay. So, Juan, you cover the Miami Dolphins for the Fin Fanatic, my man. You've seen, you've had a lot of articles before the season, during the season. You're hearing what Evan is saying. So we all cover the Dolphins, whether, you're doing a show or you're on a website. Your point of view, is Evan right? Does he have some validation in what he's saying?
I think he definitely has some good points in it. But he did say nothing's gonna change his mind. But one of the arguments that I'm gonna make is that this game doesn't end 31-34. It's not close at all if McDaniel's not the head coach, just because we're all very familiar with the Dolphins, and one of the things that the Dolphins are famous for, and we saw it in the last playoff appearances throughout the 20 years we've had them, the 3 other ones, is that when the Dolphins get down, like we got down 17-0, like it's gonna be a beating from then on. It's like we're really gonna get beat up from there. We saw it with the Ravens. I think it was 2002. We lost by 17. I think it was 20-3. Then it was versus the Ravens again in 2009 with Chad Pennington. And then it was versus the Steelers where we lost 12-30. Where we had Matt Moore. And back-to-back playoff games, we've had backup quarterbacks. And in this game, we're down to our 3rd-string quarterback. So one of the reasons that I'm impressed by McDaniel was I was talking with some of the people that I write with, and I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I took Bill's alternate line from what it started at minus 13.5, and I climbed the ladder all the way to minus 27. Because if you follow the trend of how the Dolphins are going to Dolphin, they're going to lose by about 20 points. So if I'm going to watch my team get blown out, I want something out of it. I was very impressed with the way that the team started getting stomped, and I'm like, okay, it's going as I predicted. And then the team came fighting back, and the team came fighting back with Waddle having a horrendous game, a putrid game, one of the worst games I've ever seen Waddle play.
Yeah.
And it's become a worry just because he's really good during the season, but then he has these 1, 2, or 3 games randomly where he turns into Jakeem Grant. And it's alarming to see because sometimes it's in the worst situations. And it's happened every time when he's not playing with Tua, maybe something with chemistry. We don't know. The other problem we had was Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki on a crucial third down. Skyler throws a dime, a perfect dime that it almost misses him entirely just because he almost never went back to look at it. Like in the replay, you can see last second that he turns around to look back at it. So that killed him. Tyreek has some drops. So Skyler wasn't getting helped out at all. And McDaniel was calling the game of his life just because Flores wasn't gonna do that. We watched Flores when he went down big, he got stomped out. We've watched Gase before that. Teams get stomped out. So, I mean, McDaniel's just built different, and I think Dolphins fans are impatient, and I get it. But I will say that sometimes when you're desperate, you're blind to the value that you have in front of you. So I think for me, and I said it in some of the Dolphin shows that we did before the year, for me, the expectation was playoff win. I'm not lowering the bar for that. And anything below playoff win is not acceptable. But if you told me that my quarterback was going to go down with 3 concussions in a year and through all this drama that, like, if you took the Miami Dolphins 22 season and you gave it to Hollywood to make a script, they'll tell you that you're insane because nobody's going to believe that could ever happen. It's disappointing, but I think you fire McDaniel and then who are you going to get? I know that Dable looks really good right now, and I like Dable too. I prefer McDaniel just because of some of the things, and Dable right now looks incredible. He looks like a true football guy, and I know some of the OGs see that, and they're like, this was supposed to be our guy. And I get it. I completely get it. But Sean McVay has had success in this league. Matt LaFleur has had success in this league. Kyle Shanahan has had success in this league. You fire McDaniel now, who are you going to get? Sean Payton, good luck because 31 other teams are trying to get Sean Payton. Colts are going to be throwing everything at him. The Broncos got an endless money pit to throw at him. So, right now, the best thing we can do is to give McDaniel another year and give Tua another year. Just because if you get another head coach, what's the guarantee you get that he's going to buy in on Tua and not go in and get carried away with all the, I guess, like nonsense that Stephen Ross gets carried away in the offseason where he might want to push for a Brady or a Lamar, which I thought I'm still not against it, but I still think Tua is the best option. But I don't know. I think a lot of people are overreacting right now, and maybe the loss will look a bit better as the days go forward. There was a press release that happened, and I know, Evan, you talked about it. He's relying on other people, and other people messed up that call for him, and he was really confused at the end. You can even see it in the replay. I mean, like, the head coach can only do so much. Like, he can't manage the whole thing. He's calling plays. He's doing this. Like, the way Evan is talking about McDaniel, you would think he's Nathaniel Hackett. And, McDaniel's not perfect, but he's not a clueless either. I think he called a really good game. And he is a rookie at the end of the day. You got to give him another year. Who do you guys go out and get if you fired McDaniel?
It's a good question. And we'll come back. Let's come back to that for a second. Let me just, and Chris says, but we were 8-3 with this coach before Tua and Teddy got hurt. We dropped 4 games with Tua before that Tua got hurt in that final game and threw the 3 picks. And we were remember, we were 1-7 with Flores before we went, what was it, 6-1, Evan? Was it
What do you mean? With
last year
Flores?
before we went 9-8?
We were 1-7 and we finished 9-8.
So there you go. So it goes both ways. This time the Dolphins started off great and then kind of mellowed out, and then it was reversed.
I want Neil to clarify. I want Neil to go, but I just want to make a very clarification to Juan. I have no problem with his play calling as an offensive coordinator, and I want to. My issue is as a head coach, and to make it really clear, it's exactly what Bobby said at the beginning of the year. I was not a fan of the McDaniel hire at the beginning and I was never a fan of the McDaniel hire because of what this team was built. I was tired of 20 years of first-year head coaches. He is not a built head coach. Whether he called a good game or not, the point is head coaches are not supposed to call football games. And the ones who are calling football games right now as NFL head coaches were not brought in with the team on paper that McDaniel has. Pay attention to what's going on. And we're not, by the way, I'm bragging about Brian Daboll because he's not sitting there with a call sheet. He's sitting there going to talk to Darius Slayton, who dropped the football, and going to encourage his team. He knows what's going on. He knows when to call a timeout. Mike McDaniel has no idea what's going on in the football game because his head is in the clouds like Adam Gase. He's looking down. He's not looking up. That's not what a head coach is meant to do. Don Shula was not looking at his paper when he was calling plays for 30 years. He wasn't calling the plays.
So, Neil, you're hearing what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You had a lot to say. You talked about what you talked before the show, your point of view on it. There are some questionable things which happened this year with McDaniel in regards of play calling or game management, time management. But, there were some drop balls. There were some missed opportunities. The defense stepped up. So should this loss be on McDaniel, like Evan is saying, and what you heard Juan talked about? What's your point of view?
My perspective is I feel like it's a little bit more nuanced than that because it's really hard for me to pin the loss on just one person. I do agree with Evan in this respect. There were some things that McDaniel did that made the game more difficult to win, and that's true. But I don't think that the things that McDaniel did were necessarily fatal to us winning the game. I don't think there's definitely some sort of correlation, but I don't think it's causation necessarily. What I mean by that is, look, the Dolphins had to play this game with the hand that they were dealt, okay? And that hand was a 7th-round rookie quarterback who, is not able to run the offense that McDaniel wants him to run right now. Maybe in practice he was able to do it, but his processing speed is just too slow to run that offense, and he doesn't have great anticipation. So what happens? Well, when McDaniel dials up good plays, which he did pretty much the whole game, Skylar isn't able to execute those plays because he can't do that. He's too slow going through his progressions, and he's too quick to abandon them at times and just go completely off script and panic. And that was evident on that interception when he made that bad decision, when he's overthrowing guys or underthrowing guys who are open. That happened a lot in this game, or just making terrible misreads. And I'm not blaming it all on Skylar because I saw a lot of growth in him in this game that gives me confidence going forward. He's somebody that you can build upon in a backup role. And that might actually be really good for this team in the offseason if they can get Skylar Thompson to where he can be a number 2 so they don't have to pay $12 million for someone to back you up. But I digress. But when I look at this game and I look at McDaniel, did he have issues? He did. Okay, and they've been the same issues that he's had all year. I mean, you can't hide from it. The plays are coming in too slow to Tua and other quarterbacks, and it's causing them to have 5 seconds to line up, 10 seconds to line up. It's causing issues on the offensive line. There's a lot more false starts, okay, because of it. There's a lot more illegal formations because of it, and they have to work on that. But when I look at this game, I don't think McDaniel lost this game. I think this game was lost because the injuries that this team had in key spots were just too much to overcome. I mean, when you're going into a playoff game, I, like Juan, expected the Dolphins to get stomped on. I mean, I literally thought this was and it was 17-0. I tweeted out, hey, look, Dolphins fans, don't be sad right now. Even if this loss gets ugly, self-scout the team, enjoy the day. It's been 6 years. I mean, at 17-0, I quit on it because I was like, this is not looking good. The defense is getting exposed. They're blitzing and getting beat deep because Allen's just dialed in deep. And all of that changed. And I don't think it was necessarily because of, the fact that Josh Boyer was calling great plays. I just think that the defense started getting home on Allen more. The blitzes started getting there, and Allen started missing deep. I mean, he started just overthrowing guys because, he wasn't as sharp. And then, obviously, all of the mistakes kept us in the game. The fumble 6, Allen, again, I think that might have been a miscommunication between him and Devin Singletary. And then was it Baker that got the ball loose? No, it was Rowe. Rowe pulls the ball out of Allen's hands. We get the fumble, and suddenly we're up 24-20. When I'm looking at the game, I'm like, all right, we are capitalizing on mistakes. It's not like we are, and that takes skill and talent. That's fine. It does. But it's not like our offense was winning this game. You know what I mean? The skill players on offense weren't doing anything to help Skyler. They weren't doing anything to put the team in good position. In fact, we were losing the field position battle the whole game. We were down as far as yards were concerned. The Bills were outgaining us by like hundreds of yards at one point. It just, for me to say that I'm going to zero in on the time that McDaniel, couldn't get the 4th and 1 play in. Because think about it, man. Say we convert the 4th and 1 with a QB sneak, which would have been ideal. I mean, wasn't that at the 34-yard line? You were still on our side of the field. There's still a whole field to go, and the time is running out. It's not our friend at that point. Let's say we get the field goal, which is probably the best case scenario. I don't think we scored a touchdown on that drive, not the way the offense was rolling with the drops and Waddle playing hurt. I mean, when he took that shot with his shoulder, I was surprised the guy lined up again, but they're all out there injured. I'm thinking, how am I going to say that 4th and 1 would have, if we convert that, we score the touchdown, the defense stops Josh Allen, and we win the game? I can't do that because there was no evidence of that. There was none. Go back to the end of the first half when we get the field goal to tie the game. Josh Allen has like a minute left. They throw a bomb and they get in field goal range. I mean, it's like, and they got to the 20-yard line. Thank God the defense held them to just a field goal there. But I'm just saying that, like, there's too much game left. There's too much Josh Allen and a fully healthy Bills squad left for me to say that, yes, McDaniel's errors is the reason that cost us this game. It's just not – I can't do it. And what I will say this about a McDaniel, and Juan hit this on the head. Look, say what you want about his in-game management. This team isn't there if Brian Flores is the coach. They're not. They're not. They're not there because they're not there. They're not there because
you're on mute, Bobby. Bobby, you're on mute.
Sorry.
I completely disagree with you.
What do you mean they're not there? I don't understand. What are you saying?
They're on the playoffs.
First of all, I don't think they're in the playoffs.
100% they are. 100% they are. 100%.
I don't think they're in the playoffs
I agree with Neil because Tyreek Hill would have never been there.
Tyreek Hill would have been there. And think about it this way. Let's say they get Tyreek Hill.
Wait.
What did he get last year without Tyreek Hill?
Hold on. What do you mean? Okay, first off, they were 9-8 last year. They're 9-8 this year.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't Tyreek go to the Dolphins if Flores was the coach?
Because Flores didn't prioritize the offense.
Never push for him.
Exactly. But imagine though.
What? Say that again.
Flores would have never pushed for him.
Exactly.
If you go back to the Tyreek Hill trade before, Greer came to McDaniel with the idea, and McDaniel just said, all right, let's give him everything we got. I don't think Flores would have been that open to that. I think
100%.
I-
He's trying to get Deshaun Watson, for Christ's sake. He wanted a superstar player.
Let me say,
That's
I went
ridiculous.
on that one.
The
What did you
superstar. Have you seen the superstar player this year?
But I want to say this about the Flores, and I want to just make this last point because I know we got to move on, but I just want to say this. The reason I say Flores would not be here is because the development of Tua, even though he got hurt, okay, is the main reason we were 8-3 was Tua's development. There was only one guy that was going to get Tua to that point.
Darrell Bevel.
McDaniel. It just
Darrell
is.
Bevel.
So if
Darrell Bevel.
Hold on. If Tua was not, if because of
Give me
Tua
a
we were
break.
8-3, then what was the reason for being 9-8 at the end of the year?
Exactly.
The injuries and poor game management by McDaniel. And yes, Tua did make some mistakes, but nobody can say during the 8-3 stretch that Tua wasn't showing us his ceiling. And
I don't think that's a question. I think Tua showed that he could be a successful starting quarterback. That's not but my thing is, I think to say that I think we would have been in the playoffs because last year the reason why Miami didn't make the playoffs was because the team that was supposed to lose did not lose. Miami didn't have it go their way. This year it did. It's the same record. The only difference between last year and this year were that Miami was the team that's supposed to lose lost and Miami ended up getting in.
But I don't think we beat some of the teams this year that we beat if McDaniel isn't the coach with Tua. Like, if you go back to the Detroit Lions game, that game ended up being shootout.
What it should have, could have, I get it. I mean, yeah.
Tua was never throwing 6 touchdowns with Brian Flores.
That's true. That Baltimore game is a loss.
Never doing that.
And Brian Flores had to beat
Who
Buffalo.
was the quarterback coach last year? Who was the I don't want to hear about
McDaniel.
McDaniel. Who was the quarterback coach last year? Do you remember who it was?
Huh?
Channing Frye, a first-year quarterback coach. Who was it this year? Darrell Bevel, who's an experienced veteran quarterback. Mike McDaniel may have built an offense, but there's a quarterback coach developing a quarterback. The head coach does not develop a quarterback. The coordinators are supposed to, not the head coach. My point exactly.
In the building.
My
McDaniel
point
got
is,
those people in the building.
guys,
Exactly. They don't come for Flores, y'all.
Flores
Who
couldn't
come
hire
for
offensive
Flores?
people. Remember, nobody
Flores
wanted
had,
to work for
but
him.
that's why I want to go through my list of coaches. Brian
Well, I was
Flores
gonna say-
did
I was gonna
more
say-
with nothing than Mike McDaniel did with something. It's simple. It's clear math.
No, it's
So
not
Juan
because
brought
if
up a question.
If McDaniel's not the head coach, the Baltimore Ravens finished that game 38-14 in week 2. We're never having
the players on the
28
field.
comeback in the
That's
fourth
bull crap.
quarter.
That's
That
bull.
is
I
McDaniel
agree with
That's
as
that.
head coach.
I
I
agree.
completely disagree with you.
Baltimore, that was on.
the main
Listen to me.
reason that
Baltimore
Tua was able to
lost
get
that
all 6
game.
touchdowns in the game.
Baltimore gave that game. Baltimore took their
Or
foot
Baltimore
off the gas.
lost
and
that
Miami
game.
And what
That's
about
not happening
week
with
versus the
Flores
Bills?
because no
What about
offensive
week
coordinator
versus
wanted
the
to coach with Flores.
Do you think Brian Flores is putting a 3rd and 22 for Tua to go balls deep to Waddle against cover 2 down the
I don't
seam?
think Tua's the quarterback if Flores is here.
And you get Deshaun Watson, and then who are we starting?
I never
Teddy
said we were going to
Bridgewater
get
at
Deshaun
quarterback,
Watson.
and then we're the
Okay,
Browns.
let me
Did you
explain
see
to
the
you.
Browns
Let me explain
record?
to you. I'm trying to make a
see the
point
Browns
here.
record?
Okay. No, guys, it's not. I don't care that we won or lost
But
today.
what
That's
was
not
the
why I'm
Browns
upset. Okay, guys.
Before you go, what was the Browns record?
Who's?
The Browns.
Cleveland
Browns.
Browns.
He wasn't there.
And
Well,
he
that's-
was there at the end. What was the record with him?
I never said I wanted Watson. I thought my point. My point
You said he
is,
was a superstar quarterback.
yeah, I understand that, but he hadn't played in 2 years. Guys, the reality, and Bobby and I have talked about this so much offline. My issue is the fact that Mike McDaniel is Adam Gase 2.0, and to me, in the sense that he's more worried about about not the coach, not the person, the play calling versus running his football team. Brian Daboll, at the end of this game, I'm using it as an example because he's a head coach, was pissed off, running down the sidelines, yelling at a call. Mike McDaniel's too busy to know what's
Yeah,
going
but not
on.
all coaches are the same, though.
No, but
Brian Daboll wasn't
Bobby,
playing against
Bobby,
the best
Bobby,
team in the NFL.
Bobby,
Yeah.
Bobby. Can I go through my list quickly and try to make a rational
Go ahead.
point?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make a point. Let's look at the teams that made the playoffs, guys. I just want to understand it, okay? Let's look at because Josh Wingate actually brought up a point. Would you not hire Sean McVay? But let's talk about it today, okay? Let's just talk about who's in the playoffs, okay? Kansas City Chiefs, developing team. Andy Reid, phenomenal coach. They've been building for years, okay? Let's forget about that. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's look at the Chargers. The Chargers. The Chargers lost yesterday because of stupidity of Brandon Staley, who was on the hot seat last year, was crappy at the beginning of the year, got Mike Williams back, Keenan Allen, and then last week, as a boneheaded head coach, plays his star players and gets one injured, and then is missing his key wide receiver last night and blows the football game. Who did he face? Yes, he did. Mike Williams. If Mike Williams plays that football game, they don't.
No, I'm just saying Herbert. I'm just saying Herbert also blew that game.
Yeah, but Brandon Staley. Yeah, but they didn't run the ball. They did not run the ball. Typical.
Yeah, but Herbert at the 5-yard line, overthrew.
I'm gonna say. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars. They were expected to do nothing this year. Nothing. And who was the head coach of that football team that led them back? An experienced veteran coach who Bobby praised and wanted as our head coach.
I want to.
He's a play caller, but he's an experienced head coach who's won football games. Let's look at the Bills. The Bills have an experienced coach. When McDermott was hired, McDermott had a developing quarterback. They were not expected to win right away. Okay, I'm going to get to the point on why I'm doing all this. The Bengals expected to do nothing with Joe Burrow for a couple of years. They developed into that team. The Ravens have John Harbaugh. Let me finish. Let me go through every team, and I'm going to make my overall point. The Ravens, they have John Harbaugh, who's been there forever. The 49ers, they haven't won anything yet. They've gotten far, but Shanahan has developed as a coach, and even though he's play calling, he builds people around him, but he hasn't won yet. But he's not. When he was first hired, he wasn't expected to do much either. The Seahawks, Carroll has been there forever. The Bucks even though they had Arians, they brought in Bowles. But Bowles doesn't play call. Bowles hasn't been great this year, but at least he's an experienced head coach.
You can't go with Todd Bowles. Come on.
I'm not. You're missing my point. Let me get to the point. Dallas Cowboys. Kellen Moore calls the plays. Dan Quinn calls the plays. McCarthy sits there. The Giants today. Let me finish my point. Can you let me get to my? Let me just do the things. Let me just talk about what I'm talking about. The Giants, Dayball used to be a play caller. Easily could have been the play caller. He wasn't the play caller. He became a head coach. The Vikings, they choked the dog today on that 4th and 8. What was he throwing O'Connell when he was calling the goddamn play? My point with McDaniel is at the beginning of the year they hired him. They didn't have Tyreek Hill yet. But when Tyreek Hill was signed, the expectations of the team completely changed. And instead of changing the dynamic of the team and adjusting to the fact that you have to be a head coach, this team faltered because they had an inexperienced head coach leading a team that could have gone very far. So negating the injuries, Mike McDaniel, when Josh Boyer was shitting the bed, Danny Crossman was shitting the bed. He saw that the team wasn't faltering. If you're forced on a defensive coordinator and you're forced on a special teams coach, shouldn't you be more watchful of them and not just let them do whatever the heck they want? Mike McDaniel on all these awful plays that are happening on the defense all year and on special teams and everything. Today, when he said to me at the end of the season, what his last thing is that he's relying on somebody else to tell him what's going on in a football game. How are you a head coach of a football team when you are relying on other people to know what down it is? Look up. When a kid plays hockey, the first thing you teach him when he skates is not to keep your head down. Know what's going on in front of you before you do something, before you get concussed. Mike McDaniel today, when he had the chance, and by the way, Neil, you brought up before the fact that on that 4th and 1, you don't just limit. There was 5 seconds left on the play clock. They were still in the goddamn huddle listening to Mike McDaniel instead of screaming at it. He should be screaming at his quarterback, go hike the goddamn ball. And on the previous drive, and Bobby's going to shake his head, yes, Sean McDermott, because it was not a great throw by Skyler, shaved his butt by calling that timeout. You're on your own 35-yard line with 5 minutes left. Your defense has been giving you back the ball for the last 6 or 7 games. They were the best defense in terms of yards allowed the last 3 games, and you're going for it with Skyler Thompson, your third-string quarterback. Mike McDaniel I would hire him tomorrow as my offensive coordinator. But what he showed this year is in order for him to grow as a head coach, get the playbook out of your hand. You want them to follow your play calling? Go for it. But get the freaking paper out of your face. He's not looking at what's going on in the game. He's lost. He's lost as a head coach.
Evan, let me ask you, okay?
He's in the wrong situation at the wrong time.
Hold on. Okay. Point taken. We get it. So if Miami tomorrow, Ross falls asleep tonight and has a dream and he's dreaming about what you're saying, somehow your words telepathically are going to his head, and he wakes up tomorrow and says, okay, I'm letting go of Mike McDaniel. I'm upset. I've heard everything Evan has said and I'm firing him. He's just not the right rookie coach for us. What coach should Miami get? If you're the owner, who's the coach you're getting?
I'd have to analyze who the available head coaches are. But if you told me yesterday that Doug Peterson, like a Doug Peterson type or a Jim Caldwell type, a coach who has been a coach before. You know this, Bobby.
Okay.
Bobby, I'm drinking your Kool-Aid in the sense that this team. Now, Bobby, think about this. If you're going to have Tyreek Hill next year, you have Teron Armstead. You know you have X next year. You have a developing Tua. You have veterans on your football team who are growing, who are coming back. You're going to have Brandon Jones back. Mike McDaniel has had since game 4 where Skylar Thompson was the quarterback and then Teddy Bridgewater and all this, the in-game adjustments. This was the 18th game of the year and he couldn't follow the clock. You want to have the play call sheet like Andy Reid in your hand, pass it along to Eric Bieniemy and have Eric Bieniemy pass in the play call.
So
Andy,
I know. Okay.
as a head coach.
I see what the guys are talking.
Let me stop you right there because I'm very familiar with Kansas City football, and one of the main things why Kansas City was struggling last year was because Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes weren't seeing eye to eye, and they got into it a little bit this year. And Andy Reid had to get in there, and basically, it's also a reason why Eric Bieniemy can't get hired. Andy Reid is the one running that offense. Just wanted to put that up.
No, I can hire Josh. I would hire a Jim Caldwell type. I'm not saying I want Sean Payton. I want a veteran head coach who has won or lost in this league. For the team that we have, Mike McDaniel is the same thing as hiring Brian Flores. He's the same thing as hiring Adam Gase. This is a coach who wants to develop a team. Zach Taylor was hired when the team sucked. John McVay was hired when the team sucked. San Francisco hired Kyle Shanahan when the team was not great and they were struggling. Mike McDaniel was brought into a situation where Stephen Ross opened up the vault and won the offseason again, got all-pro players. I don't care if we have injuries. The guy was given every opportunity.
And first off, everybody you're watching the Fids Talk Sports Network post-game show, you got Evan, you got Neil, you got Juan, you got myself. Everyone in the comments, thank you for tuning in. Smash that like and subscribe button. We got Mike Brown, Mike the Hebrew Hammer Brown of Bottoms Up Fins Up. You got Josh Wingate of Beer and Sports. You got Cap for Life. You got Dolphins Thirsty of DolphinsThirsty.com. He goes, "Are you kidding me, Jim Caldwell?" Steve Malloy, Adam.
Yeah, you would have said Jim Caldwell too at the beginning of the year, Bobby. You said it too.
No, I said Doug Peterson.
And you wanted a veteran coach.
I said Dan Quinn.
I'd trade Dan Campbell for Mike McDaniel tomorrow.
Campbell? What? You should be banned from this show for the rest of the week.
My mind.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding. I'm riling you up. I'm kidding.
But I'm riling you up. Angry right now. He's just throwing names out there.
Yeah, no,
guys,
but honestly, though, I agree with this thing. Hold on, let me just say this because I've been sitting here and just soaking this all in. I agree with the comments.
Home watching the playoffs. He lived into the playoffs like the Bill Belichick being a moron.
You cannot fire a coach without having one in mind. It's definitely right now if you're Miami. You cannot do that. Hellfire and brimstone will light off if you fire McDaniel tomorrow. You got to have something in play. If Harbaugh calls Ross tomorrow morning and says, "Hey, I want in on this," and then okay, that's a plan. Other than that, listen, McDaniel, today's performance for Miami, if Miami would have got blown out, which people expected, I think this would be an okay conversation to continue in regards of should McDaniel continue as coach. The reason why, hold on, just him with the team fighting the way they did, the way they carried on to this football game, they were down 17-3, I think. This game looked like it was going to be a shutout. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. Nobody could catch a damn football. Skylar Thompson doing everything he can to look decent in the first half, just couldn't get anything going. Second quarter, they blow up. They tie the game. It's amazing. Then it's 20-17. Then a big defensive touchdown. To me, this team played great to the point where they still lost. And yes, you could say, time management, rookie mistakes, blah, blah, blah. But today definitely gave McDaniel next year. He's going to be the coach. Now, here's the question. Everybody was critical of Boyer throughout this season. There's a lot of people saying fire Boyer. The defense showed up today. Finally showed up today. Yes or no, quickly. Starting with Neil, Juan, Evan. Should Boyer be let go?
Yes. Got to get a new defensive strategy.
Juan.
Yeah. You don't get married to that last performance. I think it was just him throwing the kitchen sink and then the players literally giving all the juice they got. They were just playing pizzazz. That's a 1 in a million things that you're going to see. You're not going to get that consistently.
Got you. Evan?
Well, if you guys are praising McDaniel and saying he's a wonderful head coach and he wasn't to blame for today's loss, shouldn't he be given the credit to be for the defense? Why don't you bring him back next year? Boyer, if you're keeping McDaniel, bring back Boyer. Boyer had a great game today. Danny Crossman, Jason Sanders has resurrected his career. That's thanks to Danny Crossman. No, wait, that's thanks to Mike McDaniel. Keep Crossman. Wait, the special team center also made a great return. That's Danny Crossman. No, that's the head coach. Guys, you go.
Boyer had a great game, but McDaniel.
Hey Juan, brother. You know, I know you've been busy with school. It's been a little while since you've been on, and I'm so thankful that you wanted to come on tonight. But as you can see, didn't I say one word? And you guys give me a couple words, which is perfect. I go to my brother. I go to here to Evan, and here he goes on another rant. So
he's taking over the show.
Yes or no, brother? That's it. Yes or no?
Yo,
by the way, at this point,
McDaniel.
My prediction, I'll make you a prediction right now.
That's fair, John.
Nothing, because this is the reality in which we all live, nothing changes.
No.
I think Josh brought
McDaniel's too nice of a guy to make any freaking
guys. I'm gonna drop the link in the comments here. If you want to hop on quick, give your points of view on what we're discussing, you can join us. We got Juan of the Fin Fanatic. He was also a co-host for now it's called Fast Break, but Goon Squad. I'm happy that he is back. This is awesome. Got Neil and you got Evan. Who else? Posner of Post Game and Bandwagon, who said to me today he wants to change the name to the Bandwagon, so I'm waiting on that new name. So let me put this here, Crazy Auntie. But I saw something today. You know, Skyler. Yeah, let me look at these numbers very quick. And talking about the coaches that are available, because I know that's what's brought up, and I just wanted to take a look. First off, Sean Payton, like Juan had said, everybody and their mother is going to go for Sean Payton. Okay, we know that. Unless Sean Payton said, this is where I want to go, it's going to go whoever has the most ammunition. Other coaches, there's a lot of good coordinators available, but I'm not interested. I would be interested in another rookie. I'm interested in a veteran. And the only ones I could see here, guys, is between Leslie Frazier, Dan Quinn, and Steve Welks. But for me, it's right now, there's nobody you could get right now, unless Harbaugh calls you tomorrow, then Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel today, I think, earned himself that year. He gets that second year. But Skylar Thompson today, I think, in the position he was put in, just like last week against the Jets, this week goes against the top 3 defense, top 2 defense. I don't have it in front of me, against Buffalo. Goes into an enemy's territory, playoff situation. You've got to go against Josh Allen. And yes, he threw 2 picks, but so did Allen, who threw 2 plus the fumble and everything else. He played well enough to say, hey, he gets a roster spot next year. But I did see some comments and tweets that if Tua had played, we would have won this football game. Juan, I'm going to start with you, Neil, Evan, after that. But Juan, do you believe that if Tua was in this game, which Tua has proven this year, without a shadow of a doubt, that he can be a successful starting quarterback in the NFL and for the Dolphins under Coach McDaniel? The question now is in regards to franchise quarterback is the health. But if he's playing this game, do the Dolphins win? I know it's woulda, shoulda, coulda. We don't know. But in your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned it there at the end. But, I've been seeing it a lot. And Dolphins fans mention it a lot. And, I mean, I'm not going to blame them for supporting their team. But, yeah, I mean, Tua's undefeated and has thrown 5,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in games he hasn't played because of injury. It's easy to say, but another fun fact is that both Tua and Skylar Thompson, and let me reword that, both a number 5 overall pick and a 7th round rookie, went up to Buffalo and ended up losing by 3 points. I just wanted to put that out there. Not the same circumstance at all. Just wanted to put that out. Just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. Juan, can I ask you a quick question? Juan, can I ask you just a quick question?
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned that, but I want to ask a very quick question. If you recall in the game that Tua played, in the fourth quarter, it was 3rd and 3. We're running 7 yards a carry. Did we throw or run?
I'm throwing because if I put my quarterback to run, he might get hit and hurt.
That wasn't my question. Do you remember what happened in that game when we were averaging 7 yards a carry?
I'm not running Tua at any point. Like you guys
not running Tua.
Tua.
We were averaging 7 yards a carry, 3rd and 2 on the 30-yard line of that team. And what did McDaniel do? He threw the football on a slant versus running the football 7 yards a carry. I'm just making that point, but you can continue. My apologies.
No, yeah, and I mean Tua was great in some games, but he also had the San Francisco game. He also had the Chargers game, which I won't forget. I know the exact line. 10 for 28 on the completions. So yeah. I don't know how you like. We lost by 6 points, by the way. And I know a lot of people. Josh Boyer had some very bad games. That was one of the better ones. We had the Chargers. Then we have Buffalo, which Tua played. A lot of Fins fans were happy, and I get it. Like Tua played good. He didn't play like Josh Allen. Like Tua played good. Josh Allen played like Superman. And if you want to win games in the AFC playoffs, you're gonna have to have your guy play like Superman. We and the other loss was the Packers, where Tua ends up getting hurt on a routine ass tackle, man. Like it's a general trip, and then for some reason, every time Tua falls like awkwardly, his head just like bounces off the floor. I don't know what it is. I like he really needs to work on that. But and that ended up costing the season. I know some of you guys want to talk about the coaching and this and that. Tua proved a lot of people wrong this year, but then he also left us with even more question marks than we had last year, because it's like, all right, kid can play, but will he be there to play? Like, if look at the Ravens. Now it's 2 seasons in a row this has happened. Now they're playing again with a backup quarterback. Look at the Cardinals. So it's like, it's proof. The biggest question mark going forward is, can Tua stay healthy? I put out a take. I don't know if any of you guys saw it the other day on Twitter. I think the best option is obviously to keep Tua, because Brady could fall off a cliff. Rodgers is a diva and just takes too much ayahuasca for my liking. Derek Carr has been a joke of a quarterback this season. And with Lamar Jackson, you're running into the same issue that you have with Tua. But a lot of people choose to ignore it just because, I mean, Lamar 2019 MVP, Lamar Jackson, like you said, Evan, he's Lamar. So people choose to ignore it, but we're running into the same issue. You keep Tua. If he stays healthy, we're contenders. If he doesn't stay healthy, you could tank the season and go for a quarterback that I love, and I would love everybody who's listening to possibly go check him out. UNC Tar Heels quarterback Drake May, stud of a quarterback. 2024, by the way, not this year, 2024. Okay. If you follow the trend, I'm not here. I don't wish injuries on anybody. I want to make that clear. But if you're following the trend, Tua got hurt his rookie year on his 3rd game, missed the game with a finger injury. 2021, game 2, got hurt on a routine tackle. Yes, a hard tackle, but another routine tackle, missed time. This year, week 4, he ended up losing time. If Tua ends up getting hurt next year, I don't want to have a Jimmy G or a Geno.
Well, I mean, if you want to also follow a trend, I mean, the last 2 Super Bowl champions were quarterbacks that were proving. I don't want to have a quarterback that's a project. I'm done with that. And I don't also want a quarterback that's not reliable either.
That's Cap for life. I was about to introduce him before when you were done one, but that's Cap. Cap, welcome, brother. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I had to get in here, man, because all I hear is numbers getting broken down in draft picks. And I mean, I think we're past that already, man. Like I said, you want to talk about, trends. I mean, the past 2 years, Super Bowl champions were proven quarterbacks with teams that microwaved it. So, I mean, I don't understand why we can't do that and why we're afraid to go after proven commodities like coaches. And granted, if they are, being sought off by other teams, what makes them feel like those teams are going to be in it when those coaches can make their own decisions and dictate where they want to go?
I mean, we already tried with Sean Payton and Brady and Deshaun and all these guys. So it's not like we haven't tried. Like, we've definitely tried. It's just
okay. So that means that we are trying to do something like that. I mean, why get penalized for it and not even try to pursue it?
Can I say that? What it was, because I saw Dolphins Thirsty, Rob of DolphinsThirsty.com was writing that earlier because of the report that came out this morning, tweet from Schefter saying that Tua is expected to be the Dolphins starter next year.
Yeah,
To me,
the whole
I'm gonna be
front
honest with you,
coach stuff, everybody's coming back. Yeah, I knew that on Friday when the Big O broke the news.
and to me, that's like it's non-news. It's expected is not confirmed. We'll see how it goes down. And I think obviously he's going to be here. He's best option right now, cheapest option right now. But what you're saying, Cap, you don't want to go after another young gun. You want to go if it has to be a veteran.
I mean, I just don't understand why we have to be tied down to a situation where it's going to be coming up to 4 years, and then you want to sign a 5th-year option coming up in May to a quarterback that you want to hand over the reins to, but you're not content or confident it's going to last another season because he hasn't done it either. And that's a trend you have to follow as well. So, I mean, just go after somebody that's proven. You guys are naming names, but you're quick to turn down all the names, even though those quarterbacks have more time on their belt than our quarterback. Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand what's the pushback for every quarterback that we mention. And then if David Carr wants to come over here and let's say he comes on the cheap, oh, well, you can't get him. I mean, why? If he wants to come here, I mean, if these quarterbacks want to come here and play with these players, why can't you put that into account?
So who would be your pick? Derek Carr?
I mean, for me right now, like if it came to the money, because we have no capital, we have no draft picks because the owner pretty much gave up the draft picks away and we gave up our draft picks to Denver. I mean, you have no choice but to microwave it, man. I mean, you're not going to end up getting draft capital because you got 6 picks. But if you're going to get those 6 picks, you're pretty much getting offensive linemen. Because if you're going to keep Tua, you're going to have to protect them. Because if you don't protect them, you're pretty much the definition of insanity. So, I mean, you can try to get a quarterback in the draft if you want. But, I mean, what the hell's the point if you have Skyler? Yeah. Because, I mean, say what you will, man. Skyler was in that game until 4 minutes in that whole game. The coach ends up getting 3 delay of game penalties and then screws the pooch on 4th and 1, catches a brain fart. I'm not putting this on Skyler or the defense.
No, definitely. I agree with you. It's just that, and we would have been in a much better situation. I mean, the whole thing was set up. The offense was great. Coaching.
I've heard this story before, man. But I've heard it before.
Stay healthy, and that's the thing.
Well, that's not his fault, man. That's Tua's fault. Yeah. Just like Teddy Bridgewater, it's not his fault either. He's on the sideline. I mean, that's because we're put in the position that we have to see what we have with a rookie quarterback. If that's just the politics of football.
I'm definitely not against bringing a veteran. It wouldn't be my first option, but if it were up to me, my veteran of choice would definitely be Tom Brady. I think that's the guy you go get. I mean, there's just and you, like you said, we don't have that much cap. Brady's a guy that you can give 10 million for a year, 10-20 million for a year, and if he's inheriting a really good team, he's gonna be down to play.
That's funny. He said, "Tortoise, Johnny, man, thank you for tuning in."
I do want to
go ahead, Neil.
I want to answer the original question before we got into. I felt like we got into the weeds on the long-term quarterback situation, but I think the question was, do we win the game with Tua? And yes, I think we win by double digits. And the reason why I say that is because the run game today was very difficult to get going because the Bills decided they were just going to force Skylar Thompson to beat them, and they were not going to get off. But with Tua, we run the ball better, guaranteed, especially considering our past performance against Buffalo in much harsher conditions. And I think Jeff Wilson can ball just as well as Raheem Mostert can. I think Tua reads the field better and quicker and would have been able to have more explosive plays. I mean, we wouldn't have been down 17-3. I can guarantee you that. I think the first half would have gone a lot better for us. We might even had a lead going into halftime with the ball if we would have won the toss. But I think Tua definitely would have raised our winning percentage. And if the defense, because obviously it's going to be a lot of ifs here, right? Because you got to have the same defensive performance and special teams performance. But assuming we had the same special teams and defensive performance with Tua, that last drive, Tua takes us all the way down the field and scores, no question.
Well, I could have said the same about Waddle if he dropped 2 catches that were like the equivalent of 50
Waddle,
yards each.
Tyreek Hill wide open on 4th and 6.
Yeah, you got at least 150 yards left on the field because of those drop passes.
I understand that, but Tua makes that throw to Tyreek Hill, 4th and 6, wide open. He makes that throw in his sleep. And he hits other guys too.
If we're talking hypotheticals, McDaniel could have dressed up and thrown a 75-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill in stride as well.
But the question is ridiculous on its face for sure because it requires a lot of ifs and what ifs. But just saying, if we're going to ask the question, yes, Tua by 10.
the fact of the matter is that Tua can't stay healthy, and if Neil, if I were to come to you and I were to say, let's make a bet that Tua can finish the season, would you take it?
I think that Tua this year didn't have any physical injuries to his hands, feet, knees. Yes, he has the head injuries, but what Tua has to learn is getting the ball out quickly. He's just got to be able to not hold on.
Didn't he have a back injury?
He's never had a full season except one in college.
I understand that, but what this year proved to me is that Tua didn't have any he didn't miss any games this year due to physical injuries. It was all
he had a back injury. He had a back injury in week 3.
The Bengals.
Dude,
he played that game.
It was either a back injury or concussion week 3.
Is the head not a physical injury?
I'm trying to make a difference between knee, finger.
I see you, Josh.
He said he had a back injury week 3.
The way for Tua to avoid concussions is to get the ball out quicker. He's going to have to learn that. I think he will.
Okay, but Neil, didn't he say he had a back injury week 3? Weren't we trying to determine if it was a back injury or concussion?
He played against the Bengals with the back injury. He didn't miss a game. He did not.
Okay, but then he did have a back injury. What my point is,
only missed games due to concussions.
Okay,
that's it.
That's pretty big.
Guys,
but he has to get the ball out quicker, and he can do it.
All right,
it's just 2.5 seconds throw it away.
What makes you
think? Hold on. Listen here. Hey, we got Josh Wingate of Beer and Sports. He's been nipping there. I'm gonna let him go ahead and respond.
No, I mean, I'm fine with this like back and forth conversation. It's just that the head is a physical injury, and you cannot protect a quarterback that much in a game and expect them to excel. Like, you can't have him nonstop just ball out quick. Like, he's going to have to hold the ball, and it's not going to be a perfect scenario every time. So you can't expect that. And we keep trying to fit Tua into this perfect bubble so he can be great. I don't think Tua's ever going to be great. I don't think Tua's ever going to, and I've said this my first show on the network, like, Tua is limited. He might be able to win a playoff game. I don't know if he'll ever win a playoff game. But he's just a limited quarterback. He doesn't have the arm strength to make all the throws in the NFL. He doesn't, obviously he can't stay healthy. He is slow at reading defenses. I think he has improved this year at reading a defense, but overall, it's Tua. I personally would move on from Tua. I wish Tua, if I'm Miami, I am upset that Tua got hurt this year because his value this year was astronomical until he got hurt.
Oh, you trust me, you have no idea.
His trade value was unreal. So I was hoping to, and I said this again, the first show I came on this network, I want to trade Tua at the end of this season and figure out another quarterback. But I don't know what you're going to do, and I just want to touch on the McDaniels thing real quick. I don't know how you're going to move on from the guy. He's shown that he put Skylar Thompson in a great situation in this playoff game. He has put elevated Tua's game astronomically this year as well. You didn't have Tua at all at the rate he was this season previously in his career. It's just, I think Mike McDaniels is a growing head coach. We always talk about time management with new head coaches. It's a discussion with every head coach. So that's just my feelings overall on what has been discussed on the show, but we can have this back and forth conversation. I'm down for that.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, man. The chances of Tyreek and Waddle coming back healthy and playing another full season, that's going to be pretty much, it's not going to happen, man. Getting those numbers like you had this year and Tua breaking and setting records and hitting his ceiling, in my opinion, I don't think you're going to get that next year. I really don't. Unless you get an offensive line in the draft and beef up this offensive line once and for all, then maybe. But for me, it's just the definition of insanity. You bring everybody back.
And I think the only thing you're getting from Tua this playoff game is there's possibly no turnovers, and that's going to keep you further in the game.
So you don't think that Tua would make better decisions and have more explosive plays at all? Tua just sucks.
From my experience knowing him, he'll hold on to the ball and get concussed again.
No, seriously, I think he makes better decisions. Yes, I do. I think
so he'll hit Tyreek Hill and they'll get chunk plays, and the Bills will have to
then end up in
coverage, will run the ball better. That doesn't mean anything.
I think you're also. I just it's hypotheticals as well, but I do think you're getting better decisions. But I also did Skylar Thompson make really bad decisions, or did he just overthrow some open receivers?
Made rookie decisions.
I mean, a lot of reads. Skylar Thompson was a lot of reads, and the running game was anemic. The running game was anemic because all they were doing was stacking the box. That's all they were doing. They were forcing Skylar to beat them, and he was continuously going off script because his processing speed is too slow. I mean, the guy. I thought Skylar Thompson made some strides today, but come on, guys, like. He looked like a 7th-round rookie out there.
Yeah, I agree. He was limited. I think they kept him in the box and said, "Look, try not to run too much," because he had a lot of time to run and he had a lot of green too. And I just seemed like he was holding
that's on Skylar Thompson too, because there were tons of times where he could have taken off 4 yards, 5 yards. Let's go.
Yeah,
that's true.
And he just stayed in the pocket or just ran out of the pocket and tried to make these throws on ropes to the sideline that he's just not good enough to make. You know, I mean, I would wholly disagree that Tua doesn't have the arm strength to make throws.
Then you're not watching him. You have not watched him. Then if you think that
he's complete, he's been throwing bombs all season. Okay, so the arm strength thing has been disproven completely. I mean, if you're talking about outside the numbers, maybe, but they've been dialing everything in the middle. So I mean, as far as outside the numbers go, I'd like to see him try that, but I think he can. I mean, I don't think he can't do it. He just wasn't asked to this season. It was all quick RPO, middle of the field. Throw it deep to Tyreek Hill, Waddle, crossing routes. Everything was to the middle of the field. I mean,
there's a reason for that.
Any opportunities for him to throw to the outside the numbers? They weren't asking him to.
Because you need the arm strength to make those throws.
Go ahead, Juan.
So, Neil, what are the possibilities on Tua playing a full season next year?
I think the times that Tua was hurt when he got the concussions. Or when he was holding the ball for over 4 seconds. Tua needs to learn.
Just get straight. Like, what are possibilities of like 100%, 90%, 70%? Like, what are possibilities Tua plays a full season next year?
75.
So, and then what are the chances that by week 15 Tua's healthy, not 100% healthy enough to play?
I mean, are we talking concussions or other injuries?
Any other injury.
Because that's the thing. Like this year, Tua's issues were concussions and nothing else.
No, Tua's issues.
So, I mean, I've seen
injuries. Like injuries overall. Finger, like I mentioned earlier.
If he gets the ball out,
finger.
If he gets the ball out quickly, he's not going to get.
Rookie year, miss a game versus the finger. Sophomore year, miss games because of broken ribs.
Yeah, I know.
This year, miss a game. Ended up missing games versus concussions. But before that, I got in a back injury, and in that same game, he got his ankle tweaked up. And that's why he ended up getting hurt so bad versus the Bengals. Like if whether he got concussed or not versus the Bills, like I'm not gonna argue that he was hurt already by week 3, and then he got hurt again on a regular tackle
4 days later.
Yeah, and then late in the season he got concussed on a super regular tackle, like routine ass tackle, and then you're getting
the ball too long.
In the Vikings game, you're getting football fans saying, "Hey, when Kirk Cousins got swinged around on a sack, by the way, he didn't let go of the ball. Hey, why is that getting called a roughing the passer?" Well, guys, you can't really get mad at the NFL because there's players in the league that get absolutely discombobulated when they get sacked like that. So now it's a roughing the passer. So it is what it is. I think Tua is talented, but I don't trust him to stay healthy for a whole season. And at the end of the day, is what all the OGs have been hammering all year. Your best ability is your availability.
And that's why when it comes to when you say starting quarterback, I don't think that's a discussion. When you say franchise quarterback, that's a discussion. Evan, your thoughts on this discussion?
Who cares? No, guys, who cares? Guys, Tom Brady wasn't the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots the last time we won a playoff game. There are 2 teams who have not won a playoff game in this century: the Lions and the Dolphins. As long as the Miami, who cares who's the quarterback?
Jesus Christ.
Guys, who cares who the quarterback is? Who cares who the head coach is? I want a team that if you're going to go out and sign elite players, the greatest player you have since Dan Marino in Tyreek Hill, you go get an all-pro offensive lineman in Teron Armstead. You're supposed to have an all-pro in Xavier Howard. Whether it's Stephen Ross, Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer, they're all moronic. All I'm asking is to have a team that with people who have learned how to win. Greer has not learned how to win. Ross has not learned how to win. And McDaniel certainly hasn't learned how to win yet. So all I'm asking, the reason why I wanted a veteran head coach, and Bobby, the one thing, Bobby blamed me at the beginning of the year for constantly moving the line. I have been consistent about one thing. I wanted a head coach for this football team because there's no one in it right now who's holding Stephen Ross to task. Oh, I guess he's the owner. No one's holding Chris Greer to task. The guy's accomplished nothing. And now you have Mike McDaniel, who in this season basically said, I'm the head coach, but I'm more worried about play calling than I am about managing Josh Boyer, managing Danny Crossman. I would want to watch the same way we all are a family here. We're all watching each other six. We're all married. We're all partners. Someone's watching your six. You're telling me you're the head coach of this football team and you're not worrying about the defense? You're not worrying about the special teams? You're not worrying about the offensive line that took how many offside penalties, and you're letting Applebaum and Smith run this, and you're not getting pissed and yelling at them on the field? This coach is not a head coach. And until you get an experienced president of football operations and a guy, if Mike McDaniel told me tomorrow that he is dropping the playbook and he's going to design the plays and let somebody else call them so he can manage this football team, I will give him another shot next year. But if he continues to do this with this kind of a football team on paper that's supposed to win with this staff next year, I don't care if Needham is back, Howard's back, Jones is back, but Chubb is a star, Phillips, Wilkins, I don't care. If Mike McDaniel's looking at the playbook the whole time, we're going to lose again. It's the same old freaking Dolphin story again. We bring in the same crap and we don't win. It doesn't matter if Tua's the quarterback. Even if Brady's there next year, McDaniel will find a way to screw that up too because he's so freaking worried. Now, guys, Bobby, name me the last head coach first year. McVay grew into his role.
But here's my issue. You know where
I've been quiet for 20 minutes. It's ridiculous.
It's okay. You can be quiet and you can talk for 10 minutes. That's okay. My point is, my only issue with what you're saying is, because you know where I stood when it came time for head coach. When we fired Flores, I wanted a veteran coach. But this sounds a little personal against McDaniel now. I think it's like you're grasping.
No, because you've asked me to be consistent about my reality.
I have.
He has not
You're
adjusted.
saying that if Tom Brady, let's just say, if Tom Brady's the starting quarterback, because I understand the question. Again, can Tua be a successful starting quarterback? That's not a question anymore. He's shown he can be.
He's self-sabotaging himself.
Hold on. The starting quarterback. Franchise quarterback is a bigger question because he can't stay healthy. That's the problem. Okay? But you're saying if let's say Miami does go, Tom Brady loses tomorrow, and Tom Brady, again, he's a free agent after this. He says, you know what? Hey, Ross. Hey, guys. I'm interested in going to Miami and playing to be your quarterback. He's the quarterback next year for Miami. You think McDaniel could screw that up?
Probably.
That's why it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Well, if they continue with the way the offensive line was playing the last couple of games, give me a freaking break. Tom Brady will be Tom Brady. The reason he's coming to Miami is they have a lot of old people's homes there, and he'll be living in one of them because he'll be in a wheelchair. Mike McDaniel was so focused. He was so focused on the offensive play calling, he forgot to be a head coach. Guy, I sound like a broken record, but Bobby, the one thing I've been saying since week 4, when he didn't adjust to the play calling for Skylar Thompson, he didn't adjust the play call. Look at the stats of Skylar Thompson as a quarterback and look at the stats of Teddy Bridgewater as a quarterback when he's been the head coach. He is so tunnel vision. He outsmarts himself. He's so smart. He's dumb. Do the basic things. It's ridiculous. I will never get.
He overthinks, man. He does overthink.
Cap's going to agree with me on this. Who you telling me that any veteran head coach who's been in the playoffs before, when you're winning the football game,
delay of game penalties,
no, not
3 of them in the fourth quarter, man.
Cap. It was the ball was on the 8-yard line. The ball was on the 8-yard line. It was 3rd and 18. You have the win. You're winning the freaking football game. Run, do a check down, punt the ball, put it on their side of the field. He has Skylar Thompson throw into double coverage, and that's when they took the lead and we never saw it again. That was a Mike McDaniel special. What are you doing on your 8-yard line when you're winning the
it.
football game and throwing the football with your third-string quarterback? If it was Tua, maybe. But you're having Skylar Thompson, who was not doing much during that game at that time. The defense was bailing him out. You are basically telling him, you have to get us 20 yards. Go get us 20 yards on our 8-yard line when we're winning the football game and there's still plenty of green. Punt the ball and let your defense do what they've been doing the last 4 or 5 drives. That is the essence of Mike McDaniel. He can't get out of his own freaking way. He's ridiculous. And then Sean McDermott saves his ass on the fourth and down where he has Skylar Thompson throwing the ball down the field. And then the guy had boneheaded play after boneheaded play. Like I said, I like the guy. I said, I want him to be my head coach, not my offensive coordinator. It's simple as that. Stop being an offensive coordinator. Be a head coach.
Let me get this in real quick because I got to go. I got to finish my homework. But
homework? Am I old enough to hear that?
Yeah.
Homework? What's homework?
Semester started. But
congratulations.
I agree with you that McDaniel's undercooked as a head coach. I mean, he's a rookie. He's like 25 years old. Who knows? But like, let's be real. Like, Evan, and I'll leave you with this question. You can answer it for the rest of the guys after I leave. Do you think that McDaniel can end up being better than some of the playoff coaches that you mentioned, like the Mike?
Drop the playbook. Drop the playbook out of your face.
And Dable and some of these other guys that you're mentioning. Do you think he can improve to that level? Because I mean, I think he's a very smart guy, and then he's self-aware, and that he knows that he needs to improve on some of this stuff.
When you need to rely on as a head coach, if you have to rely on other people,
No, but do you think he can improve? Like, it's pretty straightforward.
Well, right now, Peterson, Dable got wins.
If he continues to call game, can he improve? If he gets a veteran next to him, he literally needs someone to handhold him to be a head coach. He's not ready to be a head coach. The same way we want to bring Jim Caldwell in for Brian Flores, we need an experienced head coach to help him because it ain't Frank Smith, it ain't Matt Applebaum. He does not have another person who's been a head coach in this league or a veteran who's helped him. Well, you know what helped? I understand he wasn't brought in. But you know what helped Brian Daboll this year? Wink Martindale. He had a veteran on the staff who helped him, and he worked with him. What does Mike McDaniel do? He leaves Josh Boyer on an island. Are you kidding me? I'm forced on a guy. It's me tomorrow going to work, and my boss tells me I'm forced on that. I'm forced to have this person working with me. You don't think I'm going to monitor that guy like a hawk? He left Josh Boyer to do whatever he wanted. He left Danny Crossman to do whatever he wanted. He didn't care. Why? Because he was worried about play calling. That's not head coaching. Miami, right, Bobby wants a Super Bowl. I want a Super Bowl. Neil wants a Super Bowl. We all want Super Bowls.
Evan, time. Let me just thank Juan, man. Juan, it's great to have you back, man, to come on. We'll hopefully get you on more often. We appreciate you. And,
good luck with your exams.
Good luck with your studies, brother. We'll talk.
Nice talking with you, Juan.
All right, brother. Later, man.
Enjoy.
All right, breathe in, breathe out.
I'm breathing.
USA. So let me go. Neil, you've been listening to some of this, brother, and forgive us for the rants and all that. I know you've been patiently waited and doing your little thing, and but
did that for 20.
We talked about quarterback. We were talking quarterback. Evan has brought it back to the coach. It's gonna keep. It's a. So you talked about Tua. What's some other things that this team can do in the offseason besides, obviously, if it's not coach and we don't know what's going to happen with quarterback, what's some other avenues the Dolphins could make or take here that could improve their chances next year, that could improve from 9-8? Because it's the same record of last year. What do you think they could do when you're looking at this roster? You go, no, man, they need to address this.
I mean, it's definitely addressing depth on the offensive line. Sadly, the first-round picks and the picks that we've used to try to build an offensive line didn't really work out. I mean, Austin Jackson is pretty much a bust. Liam Eichenberg, he himself, I guess, is more of a depth piece than anything, but he's not great. Robert Jones, I don't think Robert Jones is, I think he's more of a depth piece too. So I'd like to address the offensive line. I think you have to switch the defensive philosophy as well. I think we need to go away from this shut down corner philosophy into more of a traditional pass rush, trying to be able to get there with 4. Hopefully Bradley Chubb will play better next year. I mean, we're tied to him. He's here. You can't lament that. It is what it is. But maybe Bradley Chubb can get better and we can get some linebackers. Maybe we can get a real middle linebacker because we don't have that currently. So on defense, I would say that. Byron Jones is most likely gone. So you're going to have to address that position, try to get another corner. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable with Nick Needham starting or Trill Williams when he comes back healthy. So you're maybe going to want to go into free agency and get a corner opposite Xavier Howard. I mean, Xavier Howard's going to be here for another year. So, I mean, you just see if he can stay healthy, although at 30, that's going to be a little bit harder, especially for cornerbacks. I think the safeties, I like Javon Hollins and Brandon Jones if he comes back healthy. I mean, I think it was an Achilles. I'm kind of concerned about that. But Brandon Jones and Holland did really well. I like that. As far as the running game, I don't know if Mostert and Wilson are back. If they got 2-year deals or 1-year deals, but if they are, that's not the worst backfield in the world, although Mostert has been injury prone through most of his career. So that's something, I guess, to monitor. But I don't know if I would put too many resources into
Let me just say something very quick because guys, the biggest problem is Chris Greer. You're preaching to the choir. G-Man, the Dolphin, can't make all these changes without any picks or salary cap.
Well, the corner market.
We got some extra. We don't have first round picks. We got a second round pick. We got 2 third round picks. You got 1 6th round pick and 1 7th round pick. You got picks, and you can make some quality picks in the 2nd and 3rd round for sure.
You can get a good corner with that 2nd round pick. There's some solid corners there.
So and then listen, the salary cap. I've seen that, and you're right. The salary cap is not good for Miami, but it is to me. It's an illusion. You could make moves to fix that cap. Josh, Beer and Sports on Monday nights. Man, I appreciate you being here. On an outsider's perspective, who doesn't have a dog in this race, or however that saying goes.
I do, because I do want Miami to do well. Because my wife is a Dolphins fan. Yeah,
forgive me. Yes, that's right. I know that. Sorry. So, but let me ask you this, man, because what, in your point of view, I know you brought up the quarterback position, and you had you had good points. But is there what can you see? What can Miami do in this offseason that you say this will, if not the quarterback, if it's Tua next year, who's shown he can be a successful starting quarterback when healthy, keyword when healthy. But anything else Miami can do to be a successful team next season?
I believe getting a good safety valve for Tua would be a great pickup for them because he currently doesn't have that right now. I believe overall just improving that defense because I said before, Tua doesn't have the luxury of making mistakes because I don't think with the defense that he has in place and his ability, he can constantly come back from his mistakes. Yes, he has previously in games, but I don't think that's a skill set he has altogether because of the defense he played with and his skill set. But I do agree, offensive line. I did see someone mention that you need to move Connors over. I think he's been playing out of his mind at center right now compared to what he played at guard. So I would try to stick him there. But yeah, I think you need to get interior help. And from there, just get depth. I think your interior defense is stacked. Like, I think your 2 starters are elite right now. Depending on Chubb, and I forget who your other defense end is, I think they can grow together.
Jalen Phillips.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think your defense line is good, just getting depth there. You need linebacker help. And I think the secondary, what was expected to be one of the best secondaries in the league, just kind of fell apart this year. And so, what Crazy said, I don't agree with that. I'm a Cowboys fan here. I've seen him play guard. He was a liability. So I think him moving to center was great. I think you kind of need to rebuild your cornerbacks there as well. So it's a sticky situation because you said it's an illusion with that cap situation. Wood moving on. I mean, Jones is gone, obviously. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know why he's doing what he's doing, and because I felt like he was elite in Dallas. I don't know what happened to Miami. Howard, is he a cap casualty as well? Because do you guys gain money from him leaving, and then you guys start to build that secondary over again, or what? I don't know, but you do need to figure out that cap there in Miami.
I think that let me make sure. Let me read up from Jeff Darlington. I don't want to read up anything that's not confirmed. I think you're right. The secondary situation for me, I think, Xavier Howard played very good today, showed up. He's been struggling all year, but I think that door is definitely open. That's what I'm saying when people say we don't have picks, we don't have cap, we don't have this.
No.
Miami could make some moves here to free that stuff up. I think Sam Madison, Pastor Taney is going to FSU. That's already been confirmed. But Sam Madison, if he stays on this staff, as shown with the young secondary that he's had, undrafted free agents, that he could coach them up to be pretty decent. So Miami could make some moves to get cap. They could get some moves to get some draft picks. Might not be a first-round pick, but maybe a third, a fourth. And Josh, you know this. You've covered the draft and vice versa. That those second, third, fourth, fifth round picks are quality picks to get some decent players. And this draft is deep in the secondary. Hey, Cap, are you still there, brother?
Yeah. Just listening to us.
I want to ask you, man.
Yeah.
You've been watching. See, we all have been, and But what do you think Miami should do besides obviously we talk quarterback, we talk these other. What could Miami do to improve this roster next year, brother? In your opinion?
No, man, the O-line. That's just 15 years of inconsistency on the O-line, and we always have questions about the O-line. Just fix it. I don't care. Fix it. I mean, you want to get a middle linebacker? Fine, go get one. If you want to get a corner late, like you always do, and find gems, do it. But fix the O-line once and for all.
All right. Let's see here.
I do want to say, if I can.
Yes.
So I think Mike McDaniel, with him coming in, and he's staying, obviously. I don't think they're moving on from him. I think a veteran quarterback would be the way to go as well. Someone that can manage the game for McDaniel, like a Tom Brady, like a Jimmy G, if you want to, because you don't have to move on from Tua right now if you don't want to. He can become, I don't know how the situation would be, how it would be for him if you brought in a veteran and sat him after the year he just had. But technically, you don't have to move on from him. His contract's not ruining you right now. But if you did bring in a Tom Brady, I think that could help McDaniels because he won't have to worry about managing the game. Those veteran quarterbacks can do that for him, taking the timeouts and whatever he needs to do.
It's a good point. So, Evan, besides firing the head coach or hiring a veteran,
I never said I want to fire the head coach.
Or besides firing the head coach or hiring a veteran to be on his staff, what other? And I know you've been on the Tua train, but I think you've come around a little bit in regards of health situation. But
my number one signing next year. Ready for this? It's not even on the field. Hire a president of football operations to separate Ross from Greer, because Ross ain't going to fire Greer. So get a president who has the moxie to be his ear. You have a Tom Garfunkel on one side talking about day-to-day operations. Get a freaking president of operations, because honestly, you need someone to run this house and make the key tough decisions that Ross will not make with Greer. I don't know what Greer has on him, but I have no clue. But honestly, it's ridiculous. On terms of, for me, the on-the-field product is it doesn't matter, because they tried to get Teron Armstead. In the end, it didn't. He couldn't stay healthy. We're going to go get. You're going to go get Lael Collins. We wanted him. Got injured. Offensive linemen get injured. The depth. The problem with the depth of this team is, in the end, you find the diamonds in the rough like the Decatur Kohu, but you don't have the structure, and that's why I've been consistent about too. The overall infrastructure of this football team is very same old Dolphins, and there's no miracle pill in the offseason unless you go get an established veteran who's willing to come here. And if the only reason I always joked around about bringing a Tom Brady is what Tom Brady does is Tom Brady brings stability to a team, and other players want to come play with Tom Brady because they think they have an excellent chance of winning. That's the only difference. Right now, the team as it is right now, you could go add, I swear to God, you can go add Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Justin Jefferson, and Devontae Adams on your wide receiver core and put Tua there and leave everything else the same. You still won't win. It doesn't matter. At this point, the overall structure, it's the feeling of the team, right? Look at what's going on. The moment the game was over, everyone was laughing at the Miami Dolphins. We're a bad joke to the NFL. The fact that right away we look great. Oh, phenomenal. And then all of a sudden we get ripped to shreds on Twitter and ripped to shreds by everybody because of that play call. That's typical Dolphins. That's typical Dolphins stuff for me. You can go get 4 offensive linemen. Who's out there right now? You're going to go draft them. You don't have much in the draft. And you can go get – we're going to have great draft shows. I know I'll probably learn a lot more from you guys. But right now, I don't know necessarily who the free agents are. But unless you go get established veterans who have won, forget about it. That's also the problem. The veterans who we've all gone to get, except Tyreek Hill was a wonder this year. But on the offensive line, Armstead couldn't stay healthy. But even Tyreek got injured a lot too because we were having him try to make plays like he was a 6'5" receiver. We overextended ourselves this year, and on paper we had this phenomenal team, but in the end, those players were not put in the best position to succeed. Where was Mike Gesicki, who the thing that angered me the most, and where I really got hard on McDaniel, Bobby, you remember this, is when they didn't trade Gesicki, and then Mike McDaniel said, and Chris Greer said, oh, we feel there's a real use for him. He only started using him in the Green Bay game and then the last couple games here and there. Before that, he lost all trade value. He was never using him. It's an overall mindset of the team. And Josh has said this too. There's something about the Miami Dolphins that it makes you all want to bang your head against the wall. So whether we go, and you always say this, how many times have we won the offseason?
Yep.
So for me, it's culture. The Miami Dolphins have a toxic culture of ineptitude. And in the end, until you bring in a veteran presence, whether it's at the executive level as a president who then guides the people, I want a veteran executive, veteran GM, veteran head coach, someone who has won somewhere before. And if it's the quarterback can make a big difference too. I want a veteran, whether it's at the quarterback, head coach, GM, or executive position who's come here and won something in the NFL, won a Super Bowl, or this team is going to be the same old Dolphins. Because no matter what you do, it's not going to make a difference. That's why if someone told me tomorrow, Tom Brady's available, would you play him over Tua? I'd play him tomorrow. Why? It brings the aura of winning. Trust me, tomorrow, Josh's team is playing tomorrow. Why is he worried? Only because of one player. The only reason his team would be nervous about is he's facing Tom frickin' Brady. If it was Lamar Jackson playing for them tomorrow, or if it was maybe even Joe Burrow, he would be less. It's Tom frickin' Brady. It's Tom. You need stability. You need confidence. This team goes in there next year, and if they go sign anybody, Tyreek Hill's a wide receiver. In the end, there's four people. The three people can make a significant difference on the team: the quarterback, the GM, and the coach. Right now, we're not a fan of our GM. Our coaches are learning in process, and our quarterback can't stay on the field. And I love Tua. Get some stability. We want somebody to stay on the field or give us a chance to win. And in those 3 areas, we're failing. We're failing.
All right. Neil, we are about an hour and a half in. Of course, first off, we got the off season now for the Dolphins, the NFL. Of course, the Cowboys play tomorrow. So Josh still has something to hope for. And they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is going to be very important game. Obviously, important game, but a very
thank you, Steve.
exciting game to watch. You. But we're at the hour and a half. We got plenty to talk about throughout the offseason, plenty of intrigue. What are the Dolphins going to do? What goes on with Tua? I know they said the report came out today. He's expected to come back. I thought that was no news. We all know he's expected to be back. He's expected to be the starter because he's the best you got. But things happen if an opportunity presents
typical
itself.
Dolphins.
Yeah. So, but any final words for the final post-game show of this season?
Obviously, expectations fell short. I went into the season thinking that the season would be a success if we won a playoff game. We didn't. It's unfortunate. There are some things that we can use to build on next season. I'll say that, I remember the last time this team was in the playoffs 6 years ago, and this was a far more enjoyable playoff game. The team had a lot more fight in them, and they looked like they belonged. They didn't go out like the Chargers did in embarrassing fashion, or start the game like the Jaguars did. So I think that as far as the teams that lost, I thought the Dolphins played the best of all of the wildcard teams that lost. And there's a small amount of value in that, although I understand moral victories aren't great. But I'm looking forward to next season. I'm looking forward to the offseason. I think there are some things that this team can do pretty quickly to revamp this roster. But, I am very excited about the young core. I believe in the coaching staff. I know Evan doesn't. I do. I like them. I'm happy with them.
What I said.
And I think that they can learn, and I think they will, because, these are people who are professionals. And if there's something that they can do to get better, they're going to strive to do it. And I think they can. So, today I left feeling a lot better about the Miami Dolphins than I did this morning. And I think there's value in that, and so I'll go to an away game and a home game next year. I'm excited. I'm probably going to go to the Cowboys game, honestly. And then as far as the away game, I might go to the Pats or the Chargers game. So, I'm overall, I'm happy. And I got to enjoy the game with my family, which I hadn't been able to do in 6 years. And that was great. Man. So let's hope next year we're back in the playoffs and we get to do it again.
Awesome. Is that Jeff Cross or Cam Wake? Rob wants to know.
Cam Wake, man. Cam Wake.
There you go. Josh, I'm going to go to you, and then I'll go to Cap, because once I go to Evan, we'll be on for another hour for the final word. Any final words for the final post game for the Dolphins this year?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to make it a little awkward because you already know what's going on. But
yes, sir.
I'm going to put out there because I feel like we're all a family here, a part of the Fins Talk. I just had something recent happen to me. My father is in critical condition in the hospital. He fell 20 feet down a ditch, and he had to get brain surgery, and he had to get a kidney removed. And I appreciate coming on this show because it's kind of taking me away from that. But he is still in critical condition. He has a ventilator right now.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. He's fighting right now. So let's put all our energy into Cowboys winning, because he's the reason I am a Cowboys fan. So let's go for the Cowboys. But I do want to say after that, not to make it all, because I do fight with whether or not to say that or not. But all the prayers and thoughts we need right now. But
absolutely,
I think if Miami was the Dallas Cowboys right now, we would be talking, and it was the exact same team just put in the spotlight of the Dallas Cowboys. We would be talking about how Chris Greer is the issue, just like we talk about Jerry Jones or not Chris Greer, Ross is the issue, just like we talk about Jerry Jones is the issue, because we talk about culture and it starts at the top. The very top is where the culture comes in, and we need to you guys need to figure that out, because that is, I think, the issue.
Absolutely. And and just to say, I told you earlier, and thinking about you, I'm praying for you and your father and your family. God bless you, brother. And we praying hard, and everybody here, because it's true. And whether you're on the comments and you're just, you just tune in every week or every day, and you're contributing, being on the show, whatever, we are an entire family. So as a family, let's send our positive thoughts and prayers to your dad, brother, and you. And you're always welcome to all the shows.
Definitely, I appreciate it.
Of course. Cap, any final thoughts for the final post-game show for the Dolphins?
Yeah, man, it's been a good one, guys. Didn't work out the way we wanted it to, man, but this too shall pass. It's just focus on the good that this podcast has let out. Like Bobby said, man, you guys are growing, and you guys have helped a lot of people deal with a lot of hard times, man. And it's just a good a beacon of hope moving forward for people who don't really have people to talk to, man. And right now, with the football season coming to an end, man, all we can do now is just hope and pray that things work out in the way that's best for this team and this organization. And Yeah, man. I thank you for your time, Bobby, and I thank every one of you guys, Neil, Evan, Josh, and everybody, man. Thank you. And yeah, man, you guys ever need to talk, man, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be listening. And if you guys have my support and everybody in the Dolphins community, we'll have your back as well, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
I'll be good.
Evan, final words for the final post game. We've gone through a lot this season on all the post games, man. What's your final word?
No, prayers to Josh and his father and your entire family. I'll just say this. Today, if you notice one thing I said today, for me, the game wasn't about winning or losing. I said that on Fin's Talk today. I said that on the bandwagon. It was to show that everyone has grown. And one thing I did learn about this season is that in order for me to enjoy 60 minutes of something, I'm actually going to have to go on CBS and watch 60 minutes because Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel could not give me a complete game over 18 games. It's unbelievable. It was unbelievable that the effort, they played the second half and they played the second quarter and a little bit of the third. That was it. That was all. And for me, all I want is, Bobby said at the beginning of the year, I want to see a championship. I was literally in high school the last time they won a playoff game. My kids are now 9 and 7, and they literally see the despair on my face when I'm watching a Dolphins game. The frustration, the averageness, and for me, if it wasn't for this network this season, I swear to God, I probably would have given up being a Dolphins fan. I swear to God. It literally would have turned me completely off because honestly, guys, we're an amazing family. We cheer for our team. And what the only frustrating thing for me is this was the first time in so many years where I said, on paper, even if we have injuries, we have the team on paper with the stars to do something. And I don't want our coaching and I don't want elements that are not on the football field to affect us. And there was too many times this season, whether it was against the Chargers, whether it was against the Bills, whether it was against the Bills again today, there were so many moments of ineptitude across all coaching staffs. And in the end, the coaching staff is supposed to enable your players to do well, not to make their jobs more difficult. And that's what I want to see from this offseason, because we know Mike McDaniel is going to be back probably. We know Tua is going to be back. We know Greer is going to be back. It's probably going to be the same thing. They're going to have to run it back again. And if that's the case, I need to see early and often adjustments from this team. If they don't, and they just go sign players and they keep the similar coaching staff, if they go get a Vic Fangio to be the defensive coordinator instead of Josh Boyer, maybe that will be a sign for me that he's growing. But like I said, for me, I'm looking for this team to have a veteran who can take this team to the next level, whether it's at the quarterback, the head coach, or the GM or the presidential level. If they don't do one of those two things, so right now they have two opportunities. They can either say, Tua, nice to see you, go get a quarterback because McDaniel will be back and likely Guru will be back, or go get a president of operations. If that doesn't happen, we're going to be in the same place next year, same old Dolphins, 10 and 7, 9 and 8, 8 and 9, and it's going to be the same old thing. And you know what's going to happen? In the end, the worst thing that could possibly happen is probably going to happen, and we're going to be laughing. Brian Flores is going to get hired by the Arizona Cardinals in a weak NFC, and he's going to lead his team to the playoffs. And wouldn't that be hilarious? So all I'm saying is that for me, I just want to see growth in our team. If there's no growth in this team and they do the same old thing and not have a veteran lead us, we're going to be in the same spot next year. And that's what makes me sad as a Dolphins fan.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let me go ahead and thank everybody for tuning in and contributing today. You're watching the Miami Dolphins postgame show on the Fin's Talk Sports Network. This is the final postgame show, obviously, since the Dolphins lost today against the Buffalo Bills. But it doesn't end coverage for football, sports in general, for the network. We got a lot of great content throughout the year. We don't take no off seasons. Everybody's available to take breaks, but we try to keep the content going. Tomorrow we got Beer and Sports. Josh Kimmel will be on with Dave Stager. Wingate will obviously take care of his things, and when he's ready to come back, he's back. Just happy to have him here. God bless you, brother. Of course, then you got Tuesday nights. You got the Fids bandwagon at 8 o'clock Eastern. You got Real Talk, Fins Talk at 7:30 with Steve Malloy and Rob. You got bandwagon again, like I said, 8 o'clock with Evan and Fish Tank. Hopefully, Evan's in a better mood because then what's the point of calling it the bandwagon? Then we got Fast Break talking basketball. We got wrestling, no holds barred, bottoms up, fins up, but we got some draft stuff coming up, which is going to be awesome. We're going to get some draft shows. We got so much cool stuff happening on the channel. So if you haven't yet, smash that like and subscribe button. If you're interested in contributing and coming on and doing some shows, hockey, baseball, draft.
Join hockey. I'm happy to talk.
Reach out to any of these guys on here, and they'll get in touch with me.
Trash.
I love it.
Do you know where I'm from, Josh?
Oh, I know. I hear it the way you say against.
Oh,
Canada.
Okay, guys, let's just remember, I'm from the place with the most, probably the most championships. So let's just have a nice day. Okay, it's beautiful to have 24 Stanley Cups.
That's right. But other than that, guys, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Saw Dolphins thirsty in there. Rob, he said he messed up an article because of us. It's probably because of Evan.
Bobby,
what?
Before you go, the silver lining for us Miami Dolphin fans is that no matter how much we screwed up today at the end of this football game, watching at least we're not the Chargers.
At least we're not the Chargers.
Hey, I had you guys losing by like 20, so
hey,
you guys
talk
fought
about
and played well.
Guys. When I do this, I'm doing my Justin Herbert.
Let me ask this very quick. Besides Josh, we know he's a Cowboys fan. Evan, now that Dolphins are eliminated, who are you going to root for? Like internally, it doesn't obviously not voice it because you're only Dolphin, but who would you like to see? Man, I hope this team makes a run. Very quick.
It's because it's my best friend, and I have to do it for him. He knows this. He cheers for the Dolphins. So unfortunately, sorry, Josh. I go to the West Coast, and I got to cheer for the Bucks. It's just because him and I. Now, let me explain why. It's not him and I have been friends. Guys, got to appreciate it. We've been friends for 30. I'm 40. We've been friends for 37 years. I changed my loyalty to the Bucks. I can't cheer for another team in the. By the way, I can't cheer for another team in the AFC when my team's in the AFC. So I have to go to the NFC. And I'm not cheering for the Eagles. I cannot cheer for the Cowboys. I'm sorry. I am not cheering for the Giants. I have to cheer for the Bucks because that's where my best friend is. So that's where my loyalty shifts.
I didn't know Josh.
That's where my loyalty shifts. I can't cheer for someone in the same division. They'll never see me cheering for anyone in the AFC ever. So I have to go to the NFC. So that's my default. Dolphins number one for me. So I can't cheer for anybody else.
Neil, I know you'll be quick. Is there any team that you can root for?
I actually respect Josh Allen's game a lot, and
if you cheer for an AFC team,
hey, let him finish.
I would like to see Josh Allen get a Super Bowl and overcome the Kansas City Chiefs.
You son of a.
You're off the network.
He's been off the channel. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm rooting for the Buffalo Bills.
I'm going to tell you.
You're awful.
You know what? I can't root for Tampa Bay. I can't. But since it's a Florida team, I'm gonna go kind of internally root for Jacksonville. I like Jacksonville Jaguars. I gotta go with them. Underdogs, Florida. They've never done it. Let them go for it. I don't want the Bills or Cowboys, my two least favorite teams at this point. That's disgusting.
It is disgusting. That's your worst take of the season.
I'm sorry, man. I respect Josh Allen's game. I really do.
He was awful today. By
really
the way.
hard, dude.
Can we point out that he did not play well today? They won in spite of Josh Allen.
If the Cowboys cowboy tomorrow and lose the first week in the playoffs,
yes, sir.
I would be like right in the position that Neil's in right now, as far as saying I wouldn't mind seeing the Giants do something, because I think they're like a hidden giant right now. Saying their team, but I think they're kind of hidden right now, and I think people underrate how good that defense is. The potential their run game could have if it gets hot.
Yeah,
and
Giants are dangerous, man. I think they are.
Yeah, I think they could beat Philly next week. I think they could beat Philly next week.
Veteran DC. They went to get Wink Martindale. What a hire!
All right, there you go, guys.
What a hire for them.
Okay.
Energizer
Bunny, brother. Energizer Bunny. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Smash that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you. We'll see you on tomorrow night, Beer and Sports, and then, of course, Tuesday for more Dolphins talk. Appreciate you. Like, subscribe. Fins up.
Go Bucks.